Okay, first I just want to speak on the importance of having a bit more of an even setup. For people who don't set their feet first, they tend to kind of just like rotate back to one side. I know I always just like rotate back, grab the bar, and make sure that I don't hit my head. But what we want to do is be able to just kind of lean back and lean back evenly so that we're not biasing one side and rotating towards one side, which can happen if we rotate back, then we stay rotated, and if I'm rotated to my right side is going to go back further than my left side, and I'm just going to be crooked on the bench the entire time. So if it starts with the ground up and the ground can send our feet and our brain a message, then we want to make sure we have our feet nice and set, and that will help with that message being sent back to our brain, like we're even, here's everything, we're balanced, and now we can produce as much force as we need to bench. Not that it's a huge issue at this point, but it's one thing that I just like to drill, and I like to make sure that the setup is something that's consistent from set to set and rep to rep, because once these things are habitual, it starts to take away from some of that anxiety and stress on meet day. Am I doing things right? Am I setting up right? There's a whole lot of other variables that are out of our control on meet day, and we want to make sure that we're controlling what we can control, setup, and everything that all the work that we've put in thus far. So that's basically my major reasoning why, is to mostly just be able to get you to produce more force. Because if our brain gets a signal that something is unbalanced or uneven, it's going to shut it down and not allow us to produce the force that we need to press the bar. So not that I'm being too nitpicky and I want to make sure that we're like super balanced and even or create some fear around imbalances. I don't want to do that. But what I do want to encourage us to try to find the most even that we can get on a regular basis so that we can produce the most force and reach our goals ultimately faster. So let me just walk you through my sequential setup for you. You can take these steps and alter them as you please. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? But this should give you a framework for your setup, and we can work individually on cues that are specific to you that help you. So first, I'm gonna sit down on the bench, gonna set my feet so that they're even. You can use the bench as a reference point. I'm using the foot of the bench and just making sure that my toes are turned the same distance, that they're the same distance away. Obviously, we're gonna have some minor inconsistencies, which is fine, but I just wanna make sure that we have these reference points and we're making these reference points in our head intentfully so that we can engage in the best setup possible and the most consistent setup, because the more consistent we are, the better we get at it. So set our feet as in reference to the bench or the foot of the bench, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna lean back. And what I do is I just tend to grip the floor with my toes so my heels can come up so I can finish my setup. I am a flat foot bencher. You can do this either way, heels elevated or flat feet. I know you can't see my feet right now, but I'm just up on my toes so that I can gain some range to get back there. So next move is going to just be laying back without moving my feet, obviously, which I just did. And so there, I'm gonna go flat feet, get my feet set and locked in. Now from here, I'm gonna squeeze my butt cheeks because that's gonna help support my lower body, okay? Making my way up the chain, pushing the floor away, squeezing my butt cheeks. This is going to allow me to keep my lumbar spine out of this next step, which is going to be rowing my body up towards the bench to get T-spine extension and a little bit of rib flare so that I can retract my shoulder blades a bit more, okay? From here, still squeezing my butt, I'm gonna bridge my butt up off the bench to squeeze a little more, give me a bit more advantage to unrack this bar, set my butt down, still keeping that leg drive, driving the arms up into the bar, okay? One thing with the unrack, I want you to think about also getting your hands set like your feet, right? I'm using my hands to create feedback from the bar into my shoulders, pressing my shoulders into the bench just as hard as I'm pressing my hands into the bar. That's going to keep everything nice and tight and give you a nice good unrack. Keep it nice consistent. So you'll see I traveled from my feet up to my shoulders, out through my hands. The other thing we want to quite frequently think about with bench is tucking our chin, and I really just think about trying to get my chin as close to my sternum as possible. It really just teaches that leg drive because you're really trying to wedge your upper body in where your legs are rather than wedging your upper body. This can lead away from some back pain and just some unevenness, but really help with that leg drive as well. Let me know if you have any questions.